What's up everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do something different. My name is Peter, this channel is called Dr. Disney. I'm a medical student, but I studied film and acting prior to coming to medical school. So while most of the videos on this channel are medically oriented, I've always wanted to do some Disney video that utilized my film and acting experience, so what better thing to do than to review the new movie that came out, Wreck-It Ralph 2. No spoilers. I've divided my comments into three different sections. The Wrecked for Wreck-It Ralph, the really awesome stuff that like blew my mind. The Sweet, the things that I thought were very good. And the dark web. So when I watch movies, I don't just talk about the things that I thought were bad or detracted from the movie, I talk about things that could have improved the movie to make it a 10 out of 10. And then at the very end, I'll give you my overall rating. Let's go. The Wrecked stuff. I am all about crossovers. This is essentially Disney's first crossover involving their various intellectual properties, such as Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar, etc. Aside from the hit video game Kingdom Hearts, which also involves Disney properties. Look out for it on January 29th. I'm so excited about that game. The Disney princesses were definitely one of, if not the highlight of the movie. The pajama outfits were so comfy that I was actually thinking, like, is Disney gonna like market these things for the holiday season? Because I definitely buy them. There's also one Disney princess scene that was not shown in the trailers, and it was a welcome surprise. And while we're on the topic of trailers, there were some stuff that were shown in the trailers that weren't actually shown in the movie, and I appreciate that because I don't want to know everything about my movie going in. The only thing about the princesses, and I don't know if this was actually a thing that happened, but let me know your thoughts if you watch the movie. I found that the princesses of color didn't exactly have as many speaking lines as the other princesses. Someone could argue that Rapunzel, Anna, Elsa, those were the new princesses and that's why they would have more screen time. But Moana is also a new princess and even she was not as utilized as the others. I know it's so hard to balance when you have so many princesses. Shank, and yes, they were so cool. Shank was everything you want from a cool character. Not only was her voice really like soothing and like deep, she kind of has like this leadership but also loving vibe, like she wants to be your best friend but she won't like take your nonsense. Also, the way that she was animated, like she would sometimes walk like this, the best character in the whole movie. Gal Gadot, great job. Yes, more like yes. Everything from her outfits to her personality to her animations to how she interacted with Ralph, she was essentially, without giving too much away, one of the people who got him involved with the internet. So it was kind of like, you know, the young generation teaching the older generation about how to use the internet. The jokes in the movie, I kind of enjoyed them. There were parts where I was laughing so much that I was like holding my stomach or like leaning forward in my chair. There's a scene that showed humans interacting with Ralph as he was breaking the internet, and it was just so well done. I was laughing so hard because it's exactly how we would have responded. I looked at my brother, I was like, that's something that you would do at your job. And he's like, yeah, I know. It was quality comedy. I guess you could say it was humorous. Sorry. And then there was a parenting joke, which was just the icing on the cake because it really showed that Disney captured or like unlocked this ability to make a movie for all ages. As for the music, I'm not necessarily talking about the score because I do think the score was somewhat in the sweet or maybe even the dark web category. It wasn't like so prominent, but the Zero song by Imagine Dragons, oh, that song is so pumping. I was singing it with my siblings and my cousin when we got out of the theater on the car ride home, and like even this morning we woke up, we didn't even say anything, we just looked at each other and went, hello, hello, let me tell you what it's like to be a zero. And then the final thing that I thought was in the Wrecked category, just really awesome, after we finished the movie, I looked at my brother and I was like, what? There was a scene that was in the trailers and they didn't even show it. And then the end credits scene came on. It was so perfect. It was like, oh, I literally looked at him and was like, oh, we just talked about this. And he was probably like, dude, shut up. As for the Sweet, the movie did begin, I don't know if this is like a new thing that Disney is doing, but it began similar to The Incredibles 2. They showed the team and the masterminds behind Wreck-It Ralph, and I kind of appreciated it because it's the studio going out of their way a second time to say thank you. I hope that they do it in more movies, just because especially with animated movies, you don't get to see, you know, human faces. You get to see just computer-generated content. So it makes it like this really like family vibe, and I really thought that that was sweet. As for the story, it was absolutely heartwarming, and the beauty of it was that it applied to all ages and multiple different scenarios. Because the movie centers around the internet, as I was reflecting, it almost seems like the movie acts like a Black Mirror episode for kids. It's kind of a social commentary about internet usage. It's really important for kids who are growing up in a time where the internet is already part of daily life. At least for me growing up, whenever I watched a Disney movie, I kind of used how the villain acted to regulate myself. Like I said, I never wanted to be the villain in a story. If they acted evil, okay, now I know to not act like that. So it's good for this kind of movie to have the message about the internet so that kids can think, okay, now I know I don't want to act like that because I would never want to affect someone like people have affected each other in this movie. Vanellope has a song in the movie, and I was not expecting it at all. It almost, very close, but not fully there, but it was almost like a parody of a princess song. It was hilarious, it was adorable. The one thing, and the reason it's not in the wrecked category, and this is a spoiler, so when the Disney princesses told her that she needs to look into important water in order to sing her song, she ended up just like was standing somewhere and then was magically transported into Slaughter Race, and I was like, how did she get there? One. Two, the important water was a puddle in Slaughter Race? Like, how insignificant of a plot point was that she never even interacted with, but it just happened to be at Slaughter Race, which she wasn't even at. Because when I heard that the important water was the catalyst for the song, I turned to my brother and I told him, oh, it's going to be Ralph's tear. Like, she's gonna tell him, I want to stay, and he's gonna cry, and then when she looks into his tear, it's gonna like hit the ground, and he's gonna leave or something, she's gonna look at it, see her reflection, and then start singing her song. And I was like, that's really powerful that our friends' tears and people that we care about can move us to finding the next step in our lives. I thought that was what they were going to use, and I'm like, wow, that's going to be so powerful, like A+ Disney for friendship goals and all this kind of stuff. And then they were like, no, we're going to take her and just like magically put her in Slaughter Race and she's going to look at a puddle because that's her important water. And I was like, that's not important water. Outside of the initial intro scene to the internet, there wasn't really much interaction with the various product placements, probably because they are actual products in real life, which is kind of like a common theme in the movie, where they introduce you to a lot of different things in the internet, but Ralph and Vanellope go down their own adventure, which is kind of cool. But I kind of, as I was laying down in my bed last night before I went to sleep, I started thinking, wow, what's stopping Disney from making Wreck-It Ralph kind of like a streaming show on their new Disney Plus that's going to come out in 2019? Every single episode he interacts with a new thing on the internet. Amazon, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter. He can do all those kinds of things. YouTube. Come watch my video about, you know, your Wreck-It Ralph. Imagine if I'm just like talking and then Wreck-It Ralph comes on the bottom like, hey Ralph. That'd be pretty cool. Not only would I watch it, but I think it would be a huge hit success of a TV show. And now, the dark web. Because one of my life mottos is to always improve. So when I watch movies, I try to find out ways that the movie could be a little bit better. While the story was really wonderful and beautiful and it's a must-see, it was a surprise to me that the main antagonizing force in the movie didn't really show its face or rear its head until the final third act. And on top of that, the climax of the movie didn't really happen until the final 20 minutes. By that point, it seemed like they were rushing to finish. The pace at the beginning of the movie was pretty fast, and we kind of got the sense as an audience that the reason was because the main chunk of the movie was the internet. It's an example of how fast it was. In the beginning, Fix-It Felix made a decision, and then within like 20 seconds, he regretted it and then like had a crisis. It didn't feel earned, some plot points. I didn't fault them for it because I knew we were just trying to get to the internet. But then we got to the internet. It kind of slowed down, which is good because it attains kind of like a normal movie pace. But then, and again, I love this movie, but it almost felt as though the middle of the movie were separate episodes of a TV show. And I kind of want to use Sherlock, the BBC show, as an example, where each movie is kind of like its individual story, but it advances this undertone plot. We get into the internet, there's like a mini episode, and there's like some baseline plot going on, but what's actually being presented on screen for the majority of that episode is not related to the plot fully. Then we got to the second part, similar thing happened where it's progressing a plot, but not the real plot that rears its head in the final 20 minutes. And that's okay, you can absolutely make a movie like that, but because so much time was spent on these episodic silos of stories, it kind of forced the ending to be super rushed. And then we got to the ending, and the ending, I kid you not, I was literally like oohing from, that's not a verb, when they showed the final visual of the final conflict. I thought, wow, like, Disney has something really special on their hands. The visual, when you watch it, is so striking of just this duality of friendship, and I was kind of bracing myself. Like, I was tearing at certain parts of the movie. You kind of feel invested in what's going on because it's such an important message. I was ready to, like, bawl. The actual conflict, as it was set up, only lasted about, like, 3 to 6 lines, and then it was over. And I thought, what? Like, my tears, like, just resorbed back into my eyes, and I was like, what? Where's the music? Where's the violin? Where's the slow piano? They could have dragged this out for at least 5 minutes and we could have all been bawling in this theater because the message is so powerful. Did you like lose your Disney formula? Like, this is the part, this is the meat of the movie. And I thought that we could have sat in the somber and the silence of the gravity of the situation a little, not even a little, much longer than we actually did. And then on top of that, the internet was broken, but there were no real consequences. Something major does happen in the movie, and I'm excited to see how it will impact future Wreck-It Ralph movies. Hopefully they'll make a third one. So overall rating, I would rate this movie a... Oh wait, why am I making sound effects? I can just put sound. Peter sound. I'd give this movie, Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet, a 9.3 out of 10. If you're wondering whether or not you should see this in theaters, I say yes, for 2 reasons. 1, any movie that gets or looks like it could be an 8 out of 10 or higher, I think you should see in theaters, because you get the collective experience of laughing, crying, smiling with other people, so it makes for an enhanced experience of the movie. 2, this movie in particular, from a business point of view, or the business of film kind of perspective, we should encourage. Hollywood makes movies that make money. So it's important for us to support these kinds of family-friendly, yet still funny, yet still have a deep message kind of movie. Other companies can now look and say, oh, people like crossovers, people like funny, people like something bold and wacky and new, so we'll get more of that in the marketplace. And a final captivating question for us to discuss down below in the comments. What did you think about the movie? Also, what did you think about the ending, specifically regarding Ralph? I was talking with my siblings and my cousin about it, and we were wondering, how did Ralph feel? Do you think he was actually happy at the end? Sure, there was a resolution to the problem, but is he the same as he was at the beginning? Do you think that Ralph is truly and equally as happy as he was at the beginning of the movie? Important stuff to discuss. Let's talk about it below. Thank you, fellow Disney fans and all new fans. Alright, thank you so much for watching. This is something I've always wanted to do because I love talking about movies and dissecting them, especially Disney movies. And as always, be safe, be strong, be swagged. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next video, whether it's medical or Disney. See you... Wait, next one. Bye-bye! Wreck-It Ralph. Okay, this is more of a spoiler. If you don't want to hear it, just skip forward to the timestamp. This is a very small nitpick thing, but in the comment section scene, Ralph was looking at the comments and they said things like, Ralph stinks, I hate him, and then Yes walks in and she starts talking to him about the comment section. And then we see Ralph again, and behind him is the same screens that he was looking at. And then what loads a second time is Ralph stinks, and I hate him. And I know it's a very small nitpick thing. In a movie that got so much other stuff right, and its attention to detail is superb, this seems like a very small thing that could have been fixed. Nothing really real. I'm looking for a way out. Doom, doom. There's something about using 2 lights that makes me, 1, more blinded, but 2, more professional. Like, oh, stop. Looking for a way out, doom, doom. Looking for a way out. Oh, looking for a way out. Oh. So this channel is called Dr. Disney. My name is Peter. I studied medical school. What? Alright, now let's actually write what we think about the movie before we waste some camera battery. It wasn't fully there. It wasn't actually like mocking. It almost was there. At English. Not just because of the layout of the internet, but because we saw familiar signs and symptoms. Why am I going to say signs and symptoms? This isn't a medical video. We saw familiar signs and logos. Hollywood makes movies that make movies. And I can go here and here. Okay. It's a little tight. Also, what did you think about the ending? Specifically, what did you think about the ending of the video? No. Thanks for tuning in. These my fingers. And a captivating question for you all and a captivating question for us to discuss down below in the comments. Do you know what it's like to be a hero? Alright, I have to go shut off the camera. This is like it's harder to do these days because the camera's so far away. Bye! Looking for a way out. Oh, looking for a way out. Oh, looking for a way out. Looking for a way out.